it's not bad news for the Trump administration. My next guest says, well, what does he say? Andy Puzder is here. He is the former chief of CKE Restaurants. Hey, Andy, good to see you.
Hey, Dagan, good to be here.
So what do you make of the jobs report last week? You also have a new op-ed titled, what's the title of it? There you go. No, the May jobs report does not mean the Trump economy is on the brink. How do you read last week's report?
Look, the economy created 75,000 jobs. People were expecting more. But you have to keep in mind the unemployment rate's already at a 50-year low at 3.6%. And how many people are there out there who we actually can bring into employment? There were under 6 million people unemployed the last 2 months. The last time there were that few people unemployed was 1999, and there were 50 million fewer people in the employable population. So you're really running out of the ability to employ massive numbers of people because there just aren't that many people. The interesting number is how many job openings there are. Like, how many jobs are businesses actually creating that they just aren't able to fill because they can't find employees? In March, that number was 7.5 million. The number for April comes out in about an hour. It comes out around 10 o'clock today. It'd be very interesting to see that and see whether or not, in fact, businesses are continuing to create jobs, but they're unable to find employees, which happens to be what's driving up wages, by the way. Wages continue to grow at an accelerated pace as well because employers are competing for employees. So a lot of positive stuff going on.
But it requires a strong economy to get reelected as the president, does it not, Andy? So should the president's focus be everything on making sure that our economy is stable? Because the tariff threat on Mexico creates business uncertainty. And now you've introduced the idea of this is a stick, the tariff stick that will be used again potentially down the road, maybe not just with Mexico, but another nation. At the same time, you have this massive trade deal that the U.S. is trying to negotiate or get done with China. Does the president need to be careful here about introducing things that might create softness in the economy?
Well, I very much want to see President Trump get reelected over any of the, 264 Democrats that are running for office. But this is who we elected. Look, the most important thing is that he stay focused on economic growth. And I'd love to see the last 2 years of the administration be like the first two, where we really had this laser-like focus on growing the economy. But this is a president who looks to the best interests of the country. And if Congress isn't going to do something about the real crisis at our southern border, and look, Jay Johnson said there was a crisis at the border, the former Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security under Obama. If there weren't a crisis at the border, Jay Johnson never would have said that. We've got a crisis. If Congress won't act, we have a president who will act. We also need to act with respect to China. Everybody agrees on that, although they disagree with maybe the tactics of how you do it. This is a president that's going to address the long-term problems that we face as a nation. However, I agree with you. I hope the last 2 years we can get our focus back on growth.
It's not even 2 years. You got to basically less than a year and a half, or less than a year and a half until the election next November. Ronica,
I hope we can keep that focus for the next 5.5 years. Let's put it that way.
There you go. Ronica, do you have a question for Andy?
Yes, Andy, you're talking about the fact that the president is making moves when it comes to the border, making moves when it comes to China. Another thing that we are talking about today is the fact that we're seeing looser restrictions on licensed jobs kind of going across state borders. That was something when I was actually covering the White House. I actually recall an event at the White House with Ivanka, with Kellyanne Conway, talking about how important this is for military spouses. And I think this is an area where the president is not getting enough credit for recognizing a very real issue that affects those who serve our country and the people who are married to those who serve our country, and why this is so important. So, while maybe this is coming out of the labor market tightening, I think this is really deserving of some credit and needs to be looked at further and expanded.
I absolutely agree. Look, this is a way to get more people into the labor force. We need that absolutely. But particularly for spouses of people that serve in the military, this is very, very important. I mean, it's not like we're paying our people that serve in the military an incredible amount of money. And the ability of their spouses to be employed can help their families, can help their children, can help the people that serve. And there are governors who've done this. Gary Burgum up in North Dakota signed a bill. The governor in Arizona signed a bill that make it easier for particularly military spouses to get employment when they move from state to state. I hope the other 48 states, I hope everybody else follows that. This is a very important, not only for employment purposes and economic purposes, but to help our people serving in the military.
Andy, good morning. Real quickly, question for you. It's Mitch Rochelle, by the way.
Sure, hi.
This Friday, you talked about economic data. This Friday, we're going to get the retail sales number. And I'm curious, when you talk to business leaders in the retail industry, how they feel about the enthusiasm of the consumer right now, given all this uncertainty out there in the economy.
Well, you know, the most recent numbers, I've seen anywhere from consumer confidence being at a 20-year high to it being at historic highs. That drives consumer spending, and consumer spending, of course, drives two-thirds of our GDP. I'd say in the business community, there's, you know, if you read anything in the press, and the press is so anxious to come up with negative economic news about this president because the news has been so positive. If you read the press, you can't help be a little leery. But I think long-term, what I'm hearing from other business leaders is that they're expecting consumer spending to continue to grow, to accelerate. Economists believe wages are going to continue to go up. So we've got more people working than ever in the history of this country. Wages have been accelerating at a very, very positive pace, especially for low-income workers. And people are taking home more of what they earn because of the tax cuts. So with consumer confidence high, you certainly would expect consumer spending to continue to increase. It may be down month to month, but overall, I think you'd expect an increase.
Andy, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here, Andy Puzder. Ford out with new versions of its police car that